few inches later.
In this video, we will be showing you guys some wonderful information about Euporian literature and Philippine literature.
We will also provide you guys with a comparative analysis of the literature from both of the said countries by mentioning some of the most famous novels and the authors from both countries.
So, with that being said, let's hop into it.
A few minutes later.
So, during the Spanish colonization, the Philippines was able to open universities. Many schools were built. They taught them how to read, write, and speak in English. But on the other side, Filipinos lack equal rights. Some even reject their own culture. The import products and the foreign companies also spread in the Philippines during those days. So probably Spanish had a bad effect on the Philippines because it took their rights and changed many things in the country.
20 minutes later.
Francois René de Chateaubriand is a famous figure in the literary movement of Romanticism. Like many young writers, Hugo was profoundly influenced by his works. He idolized him so much that he even wanted to become his predecessor. He even wrote in his diary that, quote, "I shall be Chateaubriand or nothing." With that being said, let's now discuss the inspiration behind his famous works. So, when criticizing Hugo's works, we can definitely use the biographical approach, since that almost all of his works were inspired from what was happening during his time. We will further elaborate on that as we go on to this video.
So here is some information about the author of Philippine literature and his two novels. Dr. Jose Rizal is the author of the two novels that we have. Jose Rizal was born on June 19, 1861 in Calamba, Laguna and died December 30, 1896 in Manila. He is tagged the national hero of the Philippines. His two novels, No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo, are both written when he is in the midst of his hardships. Tolimitang simply tells us that we should always reflect on our actions and beliefs for our country. The theme of the novel is to promote nationalism. The El Filibusterismo is written to defend Filipino people from foreign accusations and to show the living of the Filipinos during Spanish colonization, so it became the voice of his poor countrymen.
Later. Later. In the void. Much later.
Victor Marie Hugo is a French poet, novelist, and dramatist of the Romantic movement. During a literacy career that spanned more than 60 years, he wrote abundantly in an exceptional variety of genres, such as lyrics, satires, epics, philosophical poems, novels, and etc. Two of his most famous novels are The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Les Miserables. As what I have said a while ago, most of his works were inspired from what was happening during his time. For instance, the novel Les Miserables. During the year 1829, Hugo thought of writing a novel about social injustice, which then gave birth to the said novel. One of the inspiration behind the story was during the year 1845. On a sunny but cold day, Hugo saw a man being arrested for stealing a loaf of bread. As the man stood on the street, a carriage pulled up beside him. Inside was a beautiful woman playing with a child. The man stared at the woman, but the woman was totally unaware of it. What he saw then became a part of the novel. He even said that, quote, "The moment he became aware of her existence, while she remained unaware of his, a catastrophe was inevitable." This shows the inequality between the rich and the poor during his time.
15 minutes later.
So, the significance of the two novels, El Filibusterismo and No Limitangere, is they are both made with love for his country and countrymen. Dr. Jose Rizal used his talent in terms of writing to be the voice of his four countrymen. Both novels help spark revolution because they are related to each other. Like what I said earlier, the novel No Limitangere gives a reminder to the Filipinos that the beliefs that they believe must see on their actions, while the novel El Filibusterismo shows how the Spaniards treat Filipinos. It defended the rights of the Filipinos. The first novel is an advice to his fellows to adjust their attitude toward their culture, and the second is all about defending his countrymen. So it became really a powerful novel that helps the revolution to spark.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
The novel No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo by Dr. Acerzol both aim to enlighten the Filipinos on what was happening in the Philippines under the hands of Spain. On the other hand, the novel Les Miserables aims to show how abusive the government could be to the poor. Imagine stealing a loaf of bread and get imprisoned for 19 years. Isn't just that a little bit too much? The similarities that these novels have are pretty much obvious by now. These novels want to portray the inequality between the rich and the poor, and at the same time, the Filipinos from the Spaniards. Noli and El Fili helped awaken the spirit of freedom among the Filipinos, and the story Les Miserables shows that even at the most dark and difficult times, there is still hope.
5 minutes later.
So now let's see what are the differences and similarities of Jose Rizal's and Victor Hugo's novels in terms of themes and approaches. As we all know, in Rizal's two novels, he used the theme of nationalism and favor, while Hugo's two novels have a theme of crime, mercy, and overjudgment. The similarities are it is both for their own country. It is an eye-opener to their countrymen and also for others to know the situation of their country. And it is both made to inspire the next generations, which is us, for us to be aware in the past.
2,000 years later.
Currently, Victor Hugo and his works are well known all over the world. Some of his novels are even being taught at school and is adored by many. There are even movie adaptations that were made that are inspired by his works. These includes the Disney adaptation of The Hunchback of Notre Dame and the movie or musical adaptation of Les Miserables, and etc.
Moments later.
So, history and memory have become the themes of the current literature of the Philippines. It enables the youth to know how life was then before. So, some writers of today's literature is Maria Luisa Aguilar Carino and Dion Micael Fernandez.
With that being said, this marks the end of this video. I hope you guys have learned something from this video. Make sure to wash your hands and stay safe. Bye!